property market is still down at the moment, making it the perfect time for buyers to get right in it. But buying property can come with risks, and how can you reduce those risks? Thanks to our partner, Property Apprentice. We're joined by Property Apprentice owner and financial advisor, Debbie Roberts, this morning. So Debbie, how much can we borrow and how will that affect our cash flow?
Yeah, two really important questions, and I think that's two of the biggest risks when people look at purchasing another property. So first of all, I would suggest that you talk to a mortgage advisor and get a pre-approval for lending when you're ready to purchase, and then have a look at your cash flow. So if you actually get a mortgage of that amount, how much is it going to cost you? When's the first mortgage payment going to be due? And what are your risks moving forward? Like, are you planning maternity leave in the short term, for example? Because that's going to affect your income, which could affect, obviously, your ability to pay the mortgage. But also job security. You know, in times like this, that's something that's important to take into account as well. Is it the right time for you to actually be looking at taking on a significant debt, like purchasing a property?
And when you do that, you need lots of experts around. You need the help of lawyers, for example.
Yep, lawyers, accountants, if it's a property investment. You know, there's financial advisors, insurance advisors, all the whole, you know, the whole run of the lot. Yeah, so there's a lot involved. One of the other things that you can do to reduce the risk is to understand the area that you're looking at purchasing in, so that you don't pay more than you should for a property. You know, learn the market values in the area. If it's a rental, learn the market rent in the area so that you understand what your cash flow position is going to look like. Understand the tax implications if you're purchasing an investment property, so that you really nut down on all of those expenses. There's hidden costs when you're looking at purchasing a property as well, whether it's a home or an investment. So things like, you know, are you going to need a registered valuation to purchase the property? There's legal costs involved when you're purchasing. This makes it sound like I'm trying to talk people out of buying a property.
Yeah,
it's just the things that you need to know.
Because sometimes you're like, oh, I've saved up X amount, so that's how much I can put down on a deposit. But then you're like, hang on, I've got to pay for this, and this. And
Yep.
This doesn't come cheaply sometimes. So you've got to really figure out what you can put towards the deposit and what you've got to keep aside for all those other costs, right?
And keep aside a safety buffer as well, you know, for a case of emergencies. There's nothing worse than moving into a new property and then the hot water cylinder needs replacing. You know, where are you going to find the money for that if you haven't got an emergency fund? So, you know, it does pay to have some surplus funds just kept aside for those reasons.
And if you are looking to invest maybe outside of the town you live in, have you got any tips on what you should be looking at if you're not familiar with the place?
Yeah, so it really depends on your financial position as to which areas are the best place for you to invest in. The fundamentals of investing are really important. Obviously, you wouldn't want to invest in a small town with a shrinking population, because that's not going to be great as a long-term investment. You know, if your tenant moves out, you're going to have an empty rental. That's going to cost you money. So, you know, you take care of the fundamentals. The more you learn about property investing, the lower your risk. So yeah, learn as much as you can. Treat it like a business.
Best advice I ever had when looking for property was go and knock on the doors around the house you want to buy. Just have a chat.
Yep.
See what the neighbourhood's like.
Yep,
see
absolutely.
Know who's rowdy.
Yeah, and is the roof leaking, or, you know.
And that's free due diligence, isn't it? Because, you know, other due diligence has costs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Property Apprentice owner and financial advisor, Debbie Roberts.